Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And if you like this video, hit that like button. So today I'm going to talk about my Kentucky bluegrass and how I care for it and how I get my Kentucky bluegrass to look like that. And it's looking really good. So just a quick overview on Kentucky bluegrass. So Kentucky bluegrass has a shallow root system and it grows off of rhizomes. In other words, with a rhizome, it's almost like a little vine that'll travel across the surface, and off of that you'll get grass blades. It's a self-repairing grass. The downside of it is a cool season grass, so it does not fare well during the warm season months or the hot season months, July and August. I'm in the Northeast, I'm in Philadelphia. July and August get particularly hot here, and that's when I need to put more work into it. But otherwise, it's a beautiful lawn, it's a beautiful grass, and if you maintain it right, you just can't go wrong with Kentucky bluegrass. I just can't compliment it enough. The color of it is just amazing. There's no other colored grass out there that looks like Kentucky bluegrass. So I'm going to tell you the steps I take along the way to get it to look like it does behind me. Number one is mow it. You cannot mow it enough, and actually that goes for any kind of grass type, is to mow. Other YouTube creators, you've heard it from them, they all say the same thing: mow it, mow it, mow it. You need to be mowing at least once a week. You can mow it more often, but I wouldn't go any longer than once a week. You gotta mow it once a week. It's healthy for the grass. It makes the grass look good. And if you're going to do anything to your grass and your Kentucky bluegrass, mow it. Get yourself on a schedule. Mow it every Saturday, mow it every Friday night, mow it every Sunday morning, however you want to do it, but at least mow it once a week. Now, I have always mowed my Kentucky bluegrass at 2 inches all season long, and mow it through the summer at 2 inches. This year, for the first time, I switched from a rotary mower to a reel mower. I got myself a Swordman. I really like the Swordman. I like the shortcut look. It's working out well. I'm mowing at 1 inch. I'm not going to go any lower than 1 inch. My lawn's not level enough to go any lower. I like the height of 1 inch. I'm not gonna switch up. I always liked mowing at 2 inches. I can never get it to look good lower than 2 inches with a rotary mower, but with the reel mower, it looks fantastic at 1 inch. And I know I'm breaking the rule that you should be mowing 2.5 inches to 3 inches with Kentucky bluegrass, but there's a lot of rules you can break when it comes to grass. All those standards that are out there per se are just what they are, standards. So don't think that you can't mow lawn or mow a lawn lower than what they recommend the height of any particular grass. But for me, my lawn's Kentucky bluegrass, always mowed at 2 inches. I am mowing at 1 inch with the reel mower, and I love it. It looks fantastic. Everybody that walks by compliments it. The neighbors are asking me what I'm doing to get the lawn to look so good. They like the shortcut, and I've noticed that the lawn has really thickened up. I'm mowing every third day. At least I'm trying to, but for the most part, I'm mowing every third day at 1 inch, and it's working good. I know there are guys out there that'll tell you in the summertime, boost the height up, put it up as high as 4 inches, 4.5 inches. I've never done that. I don't agree with that. Set your wheels for the height you like. I would suggest 2.5 inches or 2 inches, which is what I always mowed at. I like the shorter looking grass. I just think it promotes growth, it promotes root development, and the grass just looks better when it's cut short and cut at least once a week. So that's number one. Number two is you gotta feed it. You've gotta feed grass. It's like anything else. It needs nutrients. So how I feed my lawn is I spoon feed it. And I know that it takes a little bit of time to spoon feed a lawn. I feed every 2.5 to 3 weeks. I feed at half the rate that the bag calls for. And I do that because if you're laying down full rate, in my opinion, most of it doesn't even get down to the root system. It gets washed away during a heavy rain, and you're just wasting all that fertilizer that you're using, regardless of what kind of fertilizer you're using. I believe that a lot of it is just washing away. So by spoon feeding, you're giving that fertilizer time to get down into the root system to feed the grass. I start out feeding probably the beginning of April. I put down a feed that has crabgrass preventer. After that bag is empty, that's it. I switch over to just plain old fertilizer. No weed killer, no nothing, just plain fertilizer. Every 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks at the most, and I fertilize. And I do that from spring all the way through until November. So the fertilizer I use, after I use the fertilizer with crabgrass preventer, I just pick up a bag at the local home center. It's a bag of the big box store brand. It's a 3204 on the NPK. And every 2.5 weeks it goes down. And it works. Now going into the summertime, just before the heat's coming, which is right around now, right around the 2nd week of June, 3rd week of June, it's going to start heating up. I'll switch and just grab one bag of the seed starting mix. So with the seed starting mix, so the NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Of course, the nitrogen is for color, for growth. It helps with all that. You can see I have not put any iron down. It's just basically nitrogen, and the grass is nice and green. The phosphorus, that'll help with root growth, and potassium just helps with the overall health of the plant. So going into the hot summertime, middle of June, I'll pick up a bag of starter fertilizer, and I do that because it has the phosphorus in it. It helps with the roots. It helps the roots get down a little deeper. I've always done that. Whether it works or not, I don't know. I'm still getting nitrogen down on the lawn, but I'm a believer that you need to get phosphorus on the lawn just before it gets hot. So I'll grab a bag this time of year, middle of June. I'll throw that down till the bag is empty. After that, I go back to using regular fertilizer, which is I think it's a 3204, and I'll just continue with that. Finish out the season all the way through November. Every 2.5, 3 weeks, I throw it down. As the saying goes, throw it down. As long as you're not putting globs and globs of it down, you're not going to burn the grass out. Throw it down. Unless you're not watering or you don't see rain in the forecast, I guess I wouldn't put it down. Myself, I have a sprinkler system or an irrigation system, so I'm always watering if it's not raining. I'm turning them on, I'm watering, so that fertilizer is getting washed in. But put that fertilizer down, do it at half the rate, do it at every 2.5 to 3 weeks. You can't go wrong. You're not going to be wasting a lot of fertilizer that way by doing it 3 times a season, 4 times a season. And your lawn will look like this, or at least it should. So the third part is water. And again, the 1, 2, and 3 are really the most important things that you need to do. Mowing, in my opinion, is the most important, followed by the feeding, and third would be to water. Now for Kentucky bluegrass, the rule of thumb is 1 inch of water in the spring and fall. During summertime, 2 inches. Now, I don't water until probably the end of May, normally. We get plenty of rain here. If there is a dry spell for a week and a half, maybe I'll do a quick water, but for the most part, I don't need to water, and really you shouldn't either. The temperatures are cool, and they're staying roughly in the 70s. You're not getting into the mid 80s. There's no reason to water in the springtime. None at all, unless you're going weeks without water. As far as the rule of 1 inch in the spring, 2 inches in the summer, that is keep in mind that it's a baseline. It's not something you're going to be able to follow. Maybe in the spring and summer you could follow the 1 inch rule, or excuse me, maybe in the spring and fall you could follow that 1 inch rule. But in the summertime, if you're not getting rain and you're getting temperatures in the high 90s, or you're going through a heat wave in certain areas of my property, at least, I need to put down more than 2 inches of water. And that's just because some areas are more sunny than other areas. Those areas dry out quicker than the areas that have more shade. So you need to learn the land, you need to learn the layout of your property and take it from there. Just keep an eye on the grass. If you see any kind of graying look in the color of the lawn, it needs water. And that's when it, and during a hot period, any kind of graying you see, put water down, water it. Water early in the morning. I set my sprinklers to come on at 4 in the morning, and the whole property is usually done by 6 a.m. It's right around when the sun's coming up. Then it has all day for it to dry out, for at least the leaf on the grass to dry out, so that you don't develop any kind of disease. You want that water to be down at the root. You don't want that water laying on top of the grass. If you do, you're just going to promote disease, and that's a whole nother thing that you're going to get into. So that is the third part of getting your lawn to look like mine is behind me. It's the water. Number 4 is treat for insects. You'll want to treat for insects. I've had years where I didn't treat for insects, and I would get a sod webworm, and I don't know what it is. I think the sod webworms around here just know that my grass is nice and green, and it must be nice and tasty for them, because I've had infestations of sod webworms. So I've religiously put down a granular insect preventer, killer, however you want to call it. You can get that at the big box store. I use Spectricide, throw it in the hopper, the spreader, run it around, and just follow directions on the back. I treat for insects middle of May, at least by the 3rd week of May, and then I do it again going into summertime, usually around the end of June, at least by the 1st week of July. I put down another application, and since I've done that, I've never had an insect problem again, particularly with the sod webworm. You'll know if you have insects. They will tear your lawn up if they're in a great number, or if they're swarming. One indicator of a sod webworm or an insect infestation an infestation of insects in your lawn is early in the morning the birds will be all over your front lawn. I don't know if there's a particular bird, it's a dark looking bird, the name of the bird I'm not quite sure, just loves the sod webworm, and there'll be 100 of them on your front lawn. You see that early in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, you know you got an insect problem. You should take care of it, and the best way to take care of it immediately would be to use a hose end sprayer, insect killer. Again, you can pick up any brand, it doesn't matter, at the local home center. Hook it onto the end of your hose, go out there and spray, and that should take care of your problem. Keep an eye out for the birds on the lawn, but if you see a lot of birds on your lawn, you know you got an insect problem at that point. So again, insect killer, middle of May, beginning of July, and that should prevent any kind of insect. Get the Spectricide. Spectricide comes, says it's also a grub killer, so you are putting, I don't put Grub X down because I use the Spectricide. I just need to buy the one bag. Grub X is a little expensive, but it seems the Spectricide has worked for me. Probably over the past 10 years, 12 years I've used it. So be sure to put that down. Again, beginning or middle of May, and then again in the beginning of July. Number 5, disease. So disease is going to depend on a lot of things. Usually the disease, I know with my lawn, it shows up in the summertime. Now, I don't do anything to prevent disease as far as putting down any kind of chemical. I do my best to manage the water. I do my best to keep it cut. For disease, managing water during the hot summer months, July and August, it's a huge thing, and it's a way to avoid disease. So again, this is where you need to learn your property or learn your land, where water hangs around in low areas. Be careful how much water you're putting down. You want to watch for thatch. Thatch promotes disease. You can de-thatch in the summertime, in the hot months. You are not going to hurt the lawn one bit. I'll de-thatch once a month, religiously, particularly during the months of June, July, and August. I'm sure to run a dethatcher over the lawn. Because I do that, I don't have a lot of thatch, but you don't want that thatch to build up. The thatch will promote disease. It'll hold on to the moisture, and that's when all the disease starts, because the grass blades, they're not able to dry out after a watering, and if it stays wet overnight, that's when the disease is going to happen. So keep an eye out for disease. You start seeing a little dead grass coming up here or there, particularly in the hot months. It's a disease problem. It's not an insect problem. Just treat that area and you should be good. But you want to treat it because it will travel. It'll travel with the lawnmower. It'll travel on your shoes. But if you manage your water correctly, you should never have any kind of disease. If you get rid of the thatch, stay on top of removing the thatch, you should never have any kind of disease. Again, I don't like putting it down. I think it messes with the natural microbes that are in the soil, that are in the grass. I've read that it will kill those the microbial activity that's going on in the lawn, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep that going. It's a huge part of the lawn and the ecosystem that comes with the lawn. So as far as disease preventer, I don't put it down. I just manage my water. So there you have it. 5 most important things to do to get your lawn to look like that. Again, learn the lay of your land, find out where your high spots are, find out where the low spots are, where are the sunny areas, where are the shady areas, and take it from there. Water is probably your enemy out of all 5 steps here, but if you can manage the water and keep things dry, by the time the evening comes, you should avoid disease. Again, treat for insects. And last but not least, there is a huge push for soil testing amongst a lot of guys that are making YouTube videos on lawns. I've never ever done a soil test, and there are some guys out there that are putting content out. I don't even watch them anymore because all they're doing is pushing soil test, soil test, soil test. And I really did enjoy a lot of their videos, but it just gets old after a while. I have never done a soil test. This isn't a stadium. It's not a golf course. It's my backyard. The thing with a soil test, in my opinion, is you're going to do that soil test. I don't even think that you're really going to get an accurate synopsis of that soil test, because you're taking soil samples from different areas and you're mixing them together. Well, one area may be different than another in the backyard here. I don't know, there's just something about doing a soil test for my backyard that to me just doesn't make sense. I'm going to get that report back and then chase everything that's on that report, and I won't even know if I'm correcting the problem, if I'm making the problem worse. Everything that I've just talked about as far as mowing, fertilizing, watering, I have followed that for probably 20 years, 25 years. In my experience of taking care of my own lawn, and my lawn looks like that without any kind of soil test, I'm not doing a soil test. I'm not going to waste my money. I'm not going to waste my time chasing something that may show up on a soil test. That's just how I feel. That's how Pat feels about soil tests. There's one guy does a live podcast every Friday night. He's great. I love listening to him. But lately, like 3 hours of it is talking about soil testing. I don't want to talk about soil testing. I really don't. I just think it's a waste of time, waste of money. I'm not going to do a soil test. I will never do a soil test. I've never put lime down on my lawn. Never. Never. I've just, whatever's happened naturally in my grass or on my property must be working. Because all I do is mow, fertilize, water, and I watch out for disease and watch out for insects. It's as simple as that. Don't make it complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. I'm not going to lose sleep at night. So I'm not soil testing. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got Kentucky bluegrass, give me some comments below. Let me know what's going on with yours. If you have a question, I might be able to help you with it. If you have something to add, you might educate me a little bit. But I think I'm doing pretty good with my Kentucky bluegrass. This lawn here has been down since 2007. This was sod that I just have maintained over the years. Before I put the sod down, I put in an irrigation system. I just got tired of dragging hoses around. I wanted my lawn to look nice. I wanted to be able to push a button and water the grass, so I broke down. I took the time. I did it myself. I did my research. I did my planning. It's not hard. There's a little bit of bull work, a little bit of physical work involved. Back then when I did it in 2007, I was a lot younger. Every once in a while I got to change out a sprinkler head. It's no big deal. I put the timer on, it waters it by itself. It's great. I'm able to do one section. I have sections that sometimes in the summertime I need to water every day, particularly my front lawn. The sun just beats on it all day long. If I get temperatures in the 90s, high 90s during heat waves in July and August, I'm running my sprinklers every day. It's just the way it is, because the lawn will just dry out so quick with that hot sun beating down on it. So you need to just find what works for you. It may take a couple seasons to do that, but if you're mowing, fertilizing, watering, and you're putting down some insect killer, your lawn should look like this within a few years. I would say 2 years tops, regardless of what kind of grass you have. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. It helps me. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I know I interrupted this talk with a mow that I did. I wanted to show how the lawn looked, how great it looks, how the swordman cuts. I love the striping that I get out of the swordman. I love the cut how I get out of the swordman. For the most part, I don't bag. I do bag around the pool. I have been bagging back here, and that's just because I don't want the grass to get in the pool. The grass gets in the pool, it's just hard to get out. It's just a pain, so it's just much easier to bag. So pretty much just bag right here. Otherwise, the clippings go back on the lawn. Maybe when it gets hot, I may pay more attention to bagging. I'm of the belief that if the grass clippings are small enough, they'll go back in and they will deteriorate. You'll keep the microorganisms going, you'll feed them. The grass is basically made up of water. It will find its way down and just basically compost itself. And at the same time, you're feeding the lawn with that. It adds a lot of nutrients to the lawn. And if you're mowing, and particularly real mowing, and real mowing is every third day, the grass clippings are very, very small and you can't even see them. So again, I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.